is fine. You can take a pencil also for now. It is okay. So here we will first start with fundamental patterns. Let us first and foremost just jot down the basics. Dot, line, circle, triangle, not sure if I'm able to understand, dwell. Yeah, you can use pencil also, Paditi. And we will keep adding more to it. When you notice the paintings, there was one thing which was quite apparent, was that nothing is haphazard. Nothing is random. It is organized, right? Can you repeat the last pattern? It's a jewel pattern, J-E-W-E-L, jewel. Add one more. Okay, I'll tell you later. So which means when you are making use of these patterns, it won't be like this. This is wrong. What is right is either all of them in one line, or if it is a bigger space, place them as if you are placing the meeting points in a hatch. It's a pen that I'm using, Astha. It's Outline 0.3. Notice they have been placed properly in one line in a row and column basis, not randomly placed. From the lines, there are three things that can be done. One, you can use them either as, placing them together in this manner. When you are making use of this thing, here the problems that you will face is either the starting and the ending point is not the same, which is again wrong. Equal space between them, that is not there, which is again wrong. Shading pattern, this is again wrong. What you should ideally do is go slow with the strokes, very slow. They should be parallel to each other, equally placed. It can be slant, it can be vertical, it can be horizontal. All are correct. Which also means when you are using hatches based out of lines, they can be used in this manner also, in this manner also, or really broad or really narrow also. From circles, when you derive your patterns, from circle, you can break it into two parts. The semicircle that you get, either regular semicircle or elongate it a little bit. This particular pattern that you derive from circle is specially used when you are trying to show that a design has come to an end. Like for example, let me show you an example of the same, 1 second. For example, this part. Or for example, this part. Right? All of these ones are derived only from the circle, basic. When you're trying to show that something has come to an end, and in order to beautify that, you use this pattern. These are all elongated semicircles. On the same lines, what you can also do is, especially for the instances where you have to paint soil or land or grass or the sky, you take help of circle there also, like placing them in this manner. One under the another. This is typically used for making grass or soil or the background. and so on. Triangle. Triangle can be used in any direction, any size, big ones, small ones, broad ones, narrow ones. You can use all of them, all the styles. Multiple usages can also be allowed, is also allowed, and you can use them as standalone designs also. Jewel pattern is usually used for decoration purpose. You can also use this as leaf. Okay. Having said all of these things, you should also now be aware that there is something very typical to Madhubani painting. And this is, if you're able to see my screen properly right now. Okay. Do you notice that here, color, pattern, next pattern, again, color, pattern, next pattern. So it's A, B, C that we have done. Last border, the outermost. ABC, ABC. It is a group of designs that are being repeated, correct? Similarly, if you notice here also in this part, the semicircular design that I was referring to, if you notice here, color, pattern, again color, again pattern. Okay, what is it that you have done? So, this is very typical to Madhubani that when you're making your patterns, you can absolutely take use of the same concept wherein, say for one section, you have used pattern, the next one will be filled with color. Pattern, next one filled with color. Similarly, if you are using the same process in any other shape, one section pattern, one section color, again pattern, again color. You can also do something differently, wherein one pattern, pattern number 2, and again color. Pattern, pattern number 2, again color. So basically creating a club of designs, a group of designs that get repeated. This is a typical feature of Madhubani painting. When you are doing any other art form, you usually use one single line for everything. In Madhubani, you don't use one line. You use 2 lines, always. If you are making a tree, a bird, a human, a border, a design, anything, your first choice will always be making 2 lines instead of 1 line. So, this. Why do we do this? The 2 lines are symbolic of Shiv and Shakti. Now, I told you in the beginning itself that everything that we do here will be in line with the origin of the painting. The origin of the painting itself is based on a faith, right? Itself is based on mythology, and which is why we assume that the 2 lines are symbolic of Shiv and Shakti. On this note, there is another school of thought which says that the 2 lines is symbolic of Ram and Sita, and it is up to you on which part do you want to believe. So will the double line be used in all the patterns also? Yes, it will be, unless you do not have the space to pull it off. If I want to use this thing here, I definitely can. So instead of this design, there will be yet another double line running. It can be inside, outside, anywhere, but it should be the same across. Which also means that here also it will be a double line, here also it will be a double line. But in case I don't have enough space, I will try to accommodate. Like here, I've already made the design. I can also make something on the outer side so that the double line still remains. But if the designs are too compact and I feel that by double line, the design is going to be spoiled, in that case, I will make only 1 line. So 1 line is mostly when you don't have a choice of making a double line. or you don't have the luxury of making a double line, right? Having said all of these things, there are a couple of things that are even more important, like number one, the importance of the eye. It is called Meenakshi. Meen is fish and Akshi is eye. So the eyes that we make in Madhubani painting is always something that will be the majority of the space taken in the human face. Even if it is a bird for that matter, we still try to give a lot of space to the eye. Even if it's an elephant or a cow, we still make eyes in a very broad manner. This is something that will always be typical to Madhubani painting. So what did you learn so far? While we were talking about the paintings that I was showing you, you did see that no shadow, no shading, no three-dimension, oversimplification of work, double line, alternate patterns, group of patterns. Subject will always be extremely close to the origin of the painting. Subject, as in if you're making a human face, you will ideally not be making something which is a modern concept. You will try to keep it close to the origin of the painting. It will be either a scene from the folklore or mythology or nature or faith or life in the countryside, or something to do with the Ram Sita related works, or Shiv Parvati related works, or Radha Krishna, or something wherein you are showing a harmony of nature and human beings. So something which is in line with the origin of the painting itself, right? So, okay, anybody, any questions that I have missed out on? And I'm just quickly going through the chat box once. Ayushi, did we miss out on anything?
Not really, ma'am. You have already taken. Ma'am, one question came in just now. Which kind of paper is used for Madhubani painting?
Okay, Vibha. Okay. So for Madhubani painting, if you are doing it on paper, always try to take one paper which is smooth in surface. It should not be rough. That is the only thing that you should keep in mind. Other than that, there is nothing like. So I usually use Brusto paper. And since you are going to use paint in this, the GSM that you should be using, which should be 180 GSM plus. Above 180 GSM, and any quality of paper is okay as long as it is smooth. These two are the only things that you should keep in mind. The size of the painting can be as per your choice. It can be a small one, narrow one, long one, broad one, really big, really big, as per your choice. Okay. Ayushi, if you could just help me for 30 seconds. There's somebody.
Yes, surely. Okay, so guys, keep posting your questions in the chat box. Don't worry, she'll be back and she'll let you know and solve all your queries. By the way, how many of you all are doing along with ma'am today? Like the basics that she's actually teaching you. May I know quickly in the chat box? Revati ma'am, what kind of colors are used? Ma'am is going to come back and let you know. Okay, acrylic or watercolors. Okay, doing along. That's wonderful, Gargi ma'am. Mona ma'am is also doing. That's great. Others are doing as well, I hope, guys. Yes. Okay. So, ma'am, there were few questions like what kind of colors are used for Madhubani?
All right. So, depending on the surface that you have chosen, you choose your colors also. Mostly, in most of the cases, we go with acrylic paint. But for beginners, it is okay for you to use even brush pens or anything else. That is also fine. If you are using if you are making a particular segment of Madhubani painting, then you can also use ink pens, provided the entire painting is done only by using that particular ink. I will talk more about it. First, I'll give you the introduction to 5 verticals of Madhubani, then you would understand this part better. So we usually use either ink or acrylic paint mostly. No watercolor to be used. Watercolor is something that cannot be tamed very easily, which is why we don't go with watercolor. Poster color is also okay if you're using it on paper, but otherwise we preferably use acrylic color because of the consistency of its, when you apply it. Okay, when we draw humans, how to draw double line? When you draw human beings, you don't draw a double line on the facial part of it, the front facial part of it, but on the hair part, etc., you do that, the double line there also. Subject of Madhubani painting is marriage, love, celebration of life, nature, faith, mythology, something to do with auspiciousness, something to do with the culture and the rituals of the place. These are the core subjects around which the Madhubani painting revolves. What kind of colors are used, or what colors are preferably used, not the type. We use any color palette that is close to what you observe in a countryside. So which is why we don't use metallic colors or contemporary colors like purple, turquoise, and teal. We use colors that are either very, very nature oriented or something that is really vibrant and happy. So which means red, yellow, green, blue, black, orange, pink, almost different shades of these, nothing on the neon side, nothing which is not a traditional color. 180 GSM, Archita. Can it be done on canvas? It can be done on canvas after due practice. Okay, I try to answer all your questions. All right. So now that you have known how to, so basically now that you are aware of all of these segments, you should also be aware of the terminologies that we use. There are 5 broad categories in Madhubani painting. Kachni, Bhairni, Godhna, Tantrik, and Kohbar.
Bhamini ma'am, just a second. I'm so sorry to interrupt. Guys, if your questions are, say, suppose by mistakenly missed, don't feel bad or disappointed. She will take up all your questions at the end. We do have a separate Q&A, as I mentioned in the very beginning. So please have some patience, okay? Don't write all these things in the chat box. It feels like really demotivating for me as well as the teacher, because we are trying our level best to give you the best, okay? So please maintain a little bit patience till the end, and I'm sure all your questions will be answered, okay? Are you guys with me, everybody? Quickly in the chat box, can I see a thumbs up? Yes, thank you so much, guys. Yeah, okay. Okay, yes, ma'am, you can proceed. And guys, don't worry, all your questions will be taken. Give her some time, because we have time constraint. We are trying to do everything in just this 1 hour. Okay, yes, please proceed, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Ayushi. That's so sweet of you. So we do have these 5 broad categories of Madhubani painting. The first 2, which is Kachni and Bharni, these 2 divisions are based on the style of painting. Have you done it predominantly using the patterns, or have you done the painting predominantly by adding colors? In both the cases, in either it is Kachni or it is Bharni, in both the cases, you are going to use patterns. What are these patterns called? All the patterns that you learned, they are called Kachni, K-A-C-H-N-I. So if you are saying that you are making a pattern in Madhubani painting, you call it as I'm doing Kachni. Okay. Second one, Bharni. If you are filling colors in your painting, you call it as Bharni. Bharni is Bharna, Rang Bharna, right? If your painting is Kachni, what does it mean? It means that primarily everything in your painting is based on pattern only. When Ayushi is showing you some of the works towards the end, she would be showing you one of the Kachni paintings too. You will be able to understand this better. So the entire painting is done by just pattern making with a maximum of 2 inks, 2 colors. And you don't pour color, you don't fill color in that. The entire process is called Kachni painting. Second one is called Bharni. What is Bharni? Bharni is a painting in which you notice that there are colors added or colors filled. If you are seeing that in the painting, even if at few instances you have added colors like this one, even if it is just 2 colors, but I have added colors here, right? Filled colors here. Whenever you notice that colors are being filled, it becomes a Bharni painting. Godhna. Godhna refers to tattoo making. Okay. Godna has been a part of Madhubani from not very long. It was something as a separate part of it, separate section of it. It was definitely originated around the same area and with similar concept. But due to socio-political slash socio-economic slash societal norms and a lot more political background of it, the overall concept of Godna painting is based on nature. It can be done in either of the ways, either in Kachni style or in Bharni style, but Godna is modern day tattoo making where the subject is nature based. Tantric. What is tantric? The word is self-explanatory. It is about faith. The strong side or an extreme side of our faith depicted in the painting. We don't go to tantric painting a lot of times, and the maximum that we approach is still Kali painting. Kali is the maximum space that artists venture into when it comes to tantric painting. And kohbar is a ritual more than a painting. Of course, it is a painting because I'm teaching you, so it has to be a painting. So it is more based on a ritual. What is the ritual? So the entire four walls of a newly married couple is painted in an art depicted in Madhubani painting, where what we do is we paint all the gods, goddesses, auspicious things, rituals, something related to Mithilanchal culture altogether. And all of these things is done in an order to say that all the gods, goddesses, and everything has come together to bless the newly married couple. That is the ritual. And from this ritual, this was initially done only on the walls. Gradually, it moved to fabric. Right now, we do it either on fabric, on the wall, or on paper, on wooden plank. It can be done on anything and everything. This process is called kohbar. All of these, be it Godna, be it Tantric, be it kohbar, they can be done in either Kachni or Bharni. Both are okay. All right. Now, one thing that we should be aware of is that when you're making a Madhubani painting, there are three ways in which you fill the overall painting. By adding colors, by patterns, or by motif. So going back to this one, Kachni, Bharni, Godna, Tantric, and kohbar. Going back to this one, if you notice, we have tried not to leave any blank spaces which are within the border. And this is the beauty of the border in Madhubani painting. No painting in Madhubani is complete without a border. The reason is that border is the first thing that tells you that this is the space that is given to you to paint whatever you want to paint, because you will not leave anything empty here. Any space empty here. It has to be filled. Either you add color there, or you add patterns there, or you add motifs there. What is motif? Motif means small, small designs placed properly in an organized manner, like placing it in this manner, for example. So using the background, in the background, when you place very small, small designs like this, or triangle based, or circle based, or flower based, anything. When you use these patterns to fill the background, this is called motif. So either by color, pattern, or motif, you fill the entire painting. So when you are starting, you first start with the border. The border can be broad, narrow, medium-sized, depending on what do you want the focus to be on. Do you want the focus to be, I will answer those questions once again. Do you want the painting to be more focused on the border, or do you want the focus to be on the core painting? Depending on that, you will take a call accordingly. All right. If you want the focus to be on the border, then this is broad, or it can be many borders, 1, 2, 3. Like if you notice here also, there are 2 borders that I have made. This is also acceptable. I could have made 1 border, that would also be fine. I could have made 3 borders, that would also be fine. All of this is okay. So depending on that, you decide how many borders do you want, what kind of borders do you want, and then the subject of the painting is here inside. there are quite a few questions. I can answer that. Please repeat Kachni and Bharni. Kachni refers to a painting where you paint primarily using the patterns. So you use a maximum of 2 inks. 2 is also on the maximum side, preferably using 1 ink only without filling colors. Entire painting pattern based only. And could you repeat about Tantric? I'll answer that also. Bharni is just the opposite of Kachni, wherein you will fill colors in the spaces. So the minute you start pouring colors, or majority of your portions or even few sections of your painting has colors filled in it, it is Bharni. No, nothing preferable in terms of what colors do you fill to be called to for it to be called Bharni, nothing like that. It is only colors that is mentioned. Yes, Mona, you will have all the references towards the end. Yeah, she will show you all of these. And somebody asked about Tantric. Tantric is primarily based on Tantra-based pictorial depiction. And the maximum an artist ventures into is still Kali painting. Tantric is based on faith, extreme sides of our faith and the ritualistic side, but we don't go beyond Kali for an artist. Okay. Once you have made your border, then you divide it further. How do you divide it further? You pick something from the fundamental patterns that you have learned. So either say I'm taking a triangle. It can be broad, narrow, 1, 2, 3, or it can be anything and everything that I wish as an artist. So once you have made the broad division, then you come towards the understanding of, okay, what next? Using all the patterns that you have learned, maybe you want to make something as a smaller section of it. Is this correct? Yes, of course it is correct. Since you have learned that it has to be in line with the origin of the painting, you can anytime paint sun. Sun is always a very integral part of our mythological belief, as well as very close to nature. So I made a rising sun in the background. You can break down your designs into as many parts as you wish. So say I'm breaking it down. You know that you have to do double line. So double line and breaking it further down. Now you also know that you can do Kachni in your work. What is Kachni? If you remember, we talked about it, the patterns. When you say Kachni, you definitely refer to all the patterns, but the first thing that you are referring to is line. The first thing that we are referring to is line, unless stated otherwise. Start from the center so that you are able to make it symmetric. Sorry. You also know that you have to make double line everywhere. It can be inside, it can be outside. You don't use any tools in Madhubani painting. You don't use any tools in Madhubani painting, which means not even compass, not even scale. For beginners, it is okay for you to use a tool like a compass when you're making a circle, but maybe not preferable all the time. The trick to making lines straight is to go slow. Sorry. Okay. Can we use scale? Okay. Amla, you may use a scale, but I will suggest not to use a scale. Reason is that you don't use any tools. It has a raw nature to it. It has a crude feel to it. Madhubani is a folk art, and we don't like it to be something which is extremely finished and, so which is why we prefer not to use. Even if the painting is 4 feet by 4 feet huge, we still don't use a scale or a compass to it. It has that raw nature to it. Once you have divided it into parts and you have, made your designs here, your decision on whether you want this to be color-filled painting or a Kachni-based painting. Depending on that, you will decide on the intricacy level. Like you know, it can be in any direction. Right now, it's vertical. Once your border is ready, of course, it has to be done on all the four sides. Once your border is ready, then you start with your work, or you just divide it first, make your painting. Depending on the painting, take a call on how your border should look like. For example, if I'm making a painting which is nature-based, then I would like something in the border which complements the same, right? There is no fixed rule on what border goes where. It is all about what looks good there or what is logical. Say I want to make trees in this part, or if I want to make a flower in this part or anything, I will either make one subject or a combination of subjects. They do not have to be very logical here, because it is to some extent, we do include the essence of surreal art in this, which means that even if you paint something like lotus hanging from here, it is absolutely okay. Even if you paint something wherein you paint a fish here in this part, it's absolutely okay. So as long as your subject is in line with the origin, you are good to go. Make sure that you are maintaining all the techniques that we have discussed so far, that it has to be organized. Like here, if you want to make something wherein there's a tree and you want to make flowers, the flowers won't be clustered at a place. That won't happen. It should be placed properly at equal space everywhere. Right? So I tried to give you the glimpse of the 5 verticals of Madhubani painting, the stationery that is usually used, Kachni patterns and the derivations of the same. How do you apply the same in border making? The most important characteristics of Madhubani painting. How do you apply that here as a painting altogether? And how do your process of painting start from there? So now I'm handing it over to Ayushi, and Ayushi, you can take it forward, and I will answer the rest of the questions towards the end now.